Burntrap isn't the villain we thought he was. And no, I don't mean about the whole mimic thing, we'll get into that. I mean, he's not the mastermind. He's not the one pulling the strings. He's not even the man behind the slaughter. The real villain of Security Breach is a much larger threat. So slices, put on your aprons, and let's bake ourselves a theory. First, let's gather our ingredients. To really delve into this theory, we'll need to establish the games, the trailers, and even some of the books. I'm not 100% sure if the Tales from the Pizzaplex books are one-to-one directly with the game, but luckily with this theory, we don't really need them to be, because I'll primarily be talking about characters we see within Security Breach, but I'll be using the books for additional information about them. So even if the Tales books aren't one-to-one, this theory still holds water. That being said, if you're watching this video, I assume you know about Security Breach, but you'll need to know about 3 books that you probably don't. The 3 stories we'll need to know about are GGY, the Storyteller, and the Mimic, all 3 of which are short stories within the Tales from the Pizzaplex book series. I've already made theories on all 3 of these stories separately on this channel, which you should totally watch when you're done here. But in the interest of ease, I'll assume you haven't seen any of those videos and don't even know what I'm talking about with those stories. So I will very briefly go over the stories. Specifically, I'll be mentioning the parts of the stories that are important to the theory, and skipping most of the other details. GGY tells us that at some point, Gregory was in the same position we see Vanessa in Security Breach, specifically a slave to Glitchtrap. He even refers to himself at one point as the wizard's favorite apprentice. He was also likely Patient 46, who killed therapists when they got too close to himself or Vanessa. The Mimic tells us about an endoskeleton named the Mimic, specifically created to copy what it sees. Originally intended to take care of and play with a child, but it eventually learned violence and became a problem. Fazbear got a hold of the robot and made a whole line of them in order to more easily teach it how to do animatronic things. Instead of coding it, just have it watch somebody do the dance. All of this was thanks to the program Mimic 1, the same program used in the original Mimic endoskeleton. However, at some point, the Mimics saw something they weren't supposed to, and began copying humans in unintended ways, exhibiting wild behavior, so they had to scrap the line. It's heavily implied that Burntrap is one of those Mimics, if not the original one, and that it possibly learned about William Afton and his tactics after witnessing one of the missing child incidents. The Storyteller tells us that at some point in the Pizzaplex, there was a big, fake Boabab. Ow, 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 I've got a mark hair in my eye. The Storyteller tells us that at some point in the Pizzaplex, there was a giant fake baobab tree that housed the Storyteller, a supercomputer capable of taking elements from Fazbear and the Pizzaplex and reworking them into new stories to control the Pizzaplex, fully replacing the creative team. This machine was hooked up to a massive amount of wires going throughout the entire Pizzaplex. That way it could control everything. It was also powered by the head of the Tiger Rock animatronic, which was found to be storing the Mimic 1 program. After the Storyteller is installed, the animatronics start becoming exaggerated versions of themselves and not acting right, and glitches start to form everywhere. Got all that? Good. We'll move on to mixing the ingredients to see what kind of theories start to form. Right away, I want to draw some connections to ground ourselves before we start theorizing off into the distance. I think that Burntrap is the original Mimic endoskeleton that's grafted itself onto the corpse of William Afton, the corpse that's left over after the FNAF 6 fire, whatever remains of him. That's basically what this whole video is about. I also think the Blob is the Storyteller after some sort of traumatic event. Something made that whole system go haywire, and the whole thing was scrapped in a repair of the event. That mass of flayed wires is what became of the Storyteller, the Blob. Basically what this whole video is about. So a little behind the scenes action, this video is actually a byproduct of something else I've been cooking. I'm basically trying to figure out my version of Security Breach in its entirety. Of course it'll wait until after Ruin, but as I was thinking about it, something kept sticking out as odd. Let's go through the game and see if you notice what I've been noticing is weird so far. Well, the doohickey's coming along, but it needs a few more parts to do anything really. I just kind of have a signal. Maybe this will help. Today's video is sponsored by Air Up. Nice. Look, I'll level with you. Water is one of my favorite drinks, but even I fall behind sometimes. After all, water's great, but sometimes you need flavor, and then I lean on soda and lemonade, and suddenly I've drank too much sugar, and there goes any health benefits I was getting. Introducing Air Up. Air Up is the world's first hydration system that flavors water through scent. That's right, you drink just plain water. No additives, no sugar, but the smell of the flavor pods flavors the water for you. How does that work? Well, I'll show you. You get these flavor pods in the mail, open one up, blueberry's my favorite, and you get one of these guys, a flavor pod. Then, around your nozzle, you place the flavor pod right around the straw, lining it up. All you have to do now is add water. And just like that, you're done. Now here's the key. Right now, the flavor pod is pressed all the way down, and I'm drinking just plain water. If I want to add flavor, simply pull up the flavor pod, and you'll hear a bubbling sound when you sip. It adds no calories, no junk, it just makes water taste better. I promise you, this bottle has genuinely replaced any other bottle I've used throughout my day-to-day life since I've known about Air Up. You can even see me on streams, completely non-sponsored streams, just drinking this bottle. It's that good. So I urge you to try out Air Up for yourself. You can click the link in the description and use code RYTOAST at checkout to get 15% off your entire order. I promise you, you will not regret it. Thanks again to Air Up for sponsoring today's video. What is a lens? I wonder if that's anything. The Mimic wants to be William Afton too. Frankly, it just wants to be William Afton, but it knows it can't get there. He wants to continue that legacy in the flesh. While the programming of Mimic 1 is within the VR game of Help Wanted, it takes over the mind of Vanessa, creating the split personality of Vanny. They work together to capture another thrall, this time fully in Gregory. With two humans at his disposal, Glitchtrap influences Fazbear Entertainment enough to make the Pizzaplex built just how he wants it. Lax security headed by Vanessa, and built directly on top of the last location of William's corpse, FNAF 6. Most importantly added though, is the Storyteller, some large structure in the middle of the Pizzaplex, whose wires run throughout the entire facility, controlling everything. All Vanny or Gregory had to do was implement the Glitchtrap virus into the Storyteller, and boom, the whole facility is working for Afton, or working as Afton, or more specifically, working as the Mimic trying to be Afton. With this newfound control, Glitchtrap is able to control the animatronics to assist Vanny in her excavation, finding the old FNAF 6 location tucked deep underground. They found it, the remains of William Afton. Using the old, original, beat-up Mimic endoskeleton, the one that has been delivered to the facility as per the epilogues, they fused the two together, creating Burntrap. This is where the fun begins. But something terrible happened. Some terrible event caused the Storyteller to go haywire. It eventually takes refuge in the pit, guarding its creation. Okay, so this explanation works. It gets us to the very beginning of Security Breach, Burntrap existing, and the Blob existing right above him in the FNAF 6 pit. It even gets us animatronics working for the Mimic. The big issue in the room is, though, what could the goal of the Mimic be? The only real hint we get to any end goal in this entire game is in the voice lines. Two lines from a mysterious voice in the first trailer.
When I first found you, you were nothing. You were small, pathetic. But now, you are more. Are you ready?
And
you will do as I say. You will bring me what I want. And if you fail me, then you will, both of you, burn!
Immediately when we saw this trailer, at least when I saw this trailer, I was super excited. But when we played the game, we noticed that something didn't fit. That was definitely probably William, because it didn't sound like Monty, and no one else fits that voice. But when we got to Burntrap, he didn't say anything, let alone command Vanny and someone else. Both of you burn. That both of you line is constantly infuriating. In retrospect, some of us explained it as talking to Vanny and Gregory, since at some point Gregory was working with Vanny. I was one of those people, but on further reflection, that doesn't work, because by the beginning of Security Breach, for one reason or another, Gregory has already turned to the good side, so Burntrap wouldn't be commanding him at all. That just doesn't make sense. Furthermore, think about the first line that voice says, "When I found you, you were nothing. But now you're more." Why would Burntrap be telling Vanny that he made her? Sure, Glitchtrap made Vanny, but Vanny literally built Burntrap, or at least assisted the Mimic in grafting itself to William's corpse. Sure, Glitchtrap was pulling a lot of the strings, but Vanessa was the one that was taking something small and pathetic and making it more. It was Vanny and Glitchtrap, not Burntrap. Wait, Glitchtrap? The Blob? That makes sense. What if Burntrap isn't the major villain here, but instead, it's the Blob? It's Glitchtrap, or rather, the Mimic 1 program. That's how everything fits here. Let's pop our mixture into the oven and see what kind of horrors rise. Mimic 1 is the mastermind behind Security Breach. Glitchtrap, the one who started it all. He's the most William-like essence possible. Think about it. Mimic 1 is a program designed to just observe and recreate. That's it. And it was trapped in a timeless expanse of Help Wanted VR, a video game chock full of every dark Fazbear secret and William Afton recreation. All it was able to do was see and repeat over and over and over until it perfected itself. And then, as storyteller of the Pizzaplex, everything was perfect. He was able to affect the real world but stay in the digital world safe. But whatever caused him to go from the storyteller to the Blob nearly ruined everything. He almost had to start from the beginning again, but one thing was for sure. He couldn't keep trying to create William Afton now, at least not in this form. He needed a smaller, more discreet body, something more true to William. That's why the Blob ordered Vanessa to start creating Burntrap. Using the original Mimic endoskeleton and as much of William as they could find, they get to work. But Mimic 1 couldn't simply just enter Burntrap. Sure, it was the Mimic endoskeleton and it had William's body and possibly agony on it, but that thing needed to be perfect. It needed to already know William, and thus, the teaching began. The Blob was the instructor, and Burntrap, the pupil, the wizard, and the apprentice. But I hear you, if that's the case, why does the Blob attack Burntrap? Why does it turn on its creation? Well, first off, I don't think violence is an excuse here. After all, in the trailer, we hear the Mimic shouting, "If you don't get me what I want, both of you will burn." It's not above threatening and apparently following through threats. But I don't even think this is the Blob attacking Burntrap. Look at the animation. The entire Pizzaplex is crumbling to the ground on fire. If the Blob wanted Burntrap dead, it could just leave it here. Look at Burntrap. He can barely walk at this point. It would never make it out of there. But the Blob knew that Burntrap was the perfect specimen. It needed to be taught, but the body was essential. It needs Burntrap. So we see it scream in frustration, angry that its creation failed its first test. But nonetheless, the Blob grabs him and makes a run for it. This isn't a choke or an attack, it's a rescue. But going back to that trailer voice, I don't even think the first Afton line is directed at Vanny. I know we see her mask, but listen to what it says.
When I first found you, you were nothing. You were small, pathetic. But now, you are more. Are you ready?
I think this is the Blob talking to Burntrap. If the books are to be believed, when they first find the original Mimic, it's nearly destroyed. A crumpled upper half with a mismatched bottom. It was pathetic. But now it's more. I hear you again. How in the world would the Blob be saying any of this? It's literally a mass of wires that screeches at us. To answer that, look at its chosen head. Funtime Freddy. Now, the novels say the Blob is supposed to be headed by the Tiger Rock animatronic. Whether or not that's true, I don't think the original animatronic head that Mimic 1 was brought over on is Funtime Freddy. It was something else previously. So of all the AR Special Delivery extra animatronics for the Blob to choose as its main head that it uses, why Funtime Freddy? Well, like Steelwool said, look at the schematics. Funtime Freddy, number 3. Voice mimic / learning. It wanted the hardware to mimic William's voice. So it chose Funtime Freddy to get his voice box. Burntrap isn't the main villain. It's the student to the Blob's teacher. The Blob is the storyteller. Burntrap is just listening. At least, that's what I think right now. To be clear, when I say Burntrap and the Blob, I still think they're iterations of the Mimic in one way or another. I just use those terms to be clear as to which iteration I'm talking about at the moment. But if you've made it this far into the video and you're just scratching your head going, okay, but what really is the Mimic? Go ahead and watch last week's video where I go all into the topic. For now, a huge shout out to the best patrons, the Toasted Slices, Emberisk, Charlie Bean, Lovey Puppy, Stormachow, Just BKZ, Chickpea, Lola Fembo, The Viper 26, Lehan, James Reiner, Emily De La Sierra, Snowblossom, Comrade Nika, Raven Eris, Glamrock Bonnie Isn't a Ghani, Bucky Ray, Mystic Angel, Supermoosh, Untrusted Life, Queen Coda, Dionysus, MD Switchy, Flip, Loose, Hyperdroid, Emmy Layton, Sharpwire, Kitty Demon Overkill YT, Theory, Angermations, Nayubi, Cursed Galatea, Otterpops 456, Dusk Enith, ICG, The Idiot Central, Mac Dave, Irfan, Sumi, Moose, Kiwi Dylan, Sharktooth, Inkline Games Studio, Big Fart, Sky Fonset, Daylove Bunny, Alex P, Mercy, Altname 7, FNAF Boys, Wesley Harden, and Simp Moodles. And until next time, as always, stay toasty, Slices.